Good afternoon. And this week on episode 492 of The Big Show, we really are kind of like in the early part of the year. It's like that tweener spot. We're between the Oscars and, the movies that are being released. Charles Kirkland and I will sit down and do what we do every week. Over the course of the next 60 minutes, we're going to discuss movies we've watched, series we've watched, things that are hot, all on, as I said, episode 492, Keeping It Real with FilmGordon. Let's go. All right, and welcome to the latest episode, Keeping It Real with FilmGordon. I am Tim Gordon. Normally, I would be in the movie theater, but, as Charles would tell you, we have been planning a show, and I have not had an opportunity. It was funny because before we got on the air, Charles even talked to me. My friend Charles Kirkland Jr., our co-host. Charles, first of all, before I tell them what we were talking about before we got on the air, how are you today, sir?
Man, I tell you what, if it weren't for I had such a relaxing week, I'm doing well. It's just hard to be back here. I wish I could be doing this on Zoom from the DR where I've been for the last couple days. But yeah, I'm here. I'm glad. It's good.
All right, you back, man. All right, so I just had to get some more light in the studio, so that's why I had to put my on avatar up. So welcome back, brother. But I was about to say that we were talking before the show that there's so much content that's out there right now, and all of us are so busy that I have not had an opportunity. You recommended on our last show, Frederick Douglass. I think it was, what is it called? 5 speeches or something to that effect?
Yes, in 5 speeches.
I watched the trailer and I didn't get the advanced copy like my colleague did. So I came the day before it dropped and tried to watch it and couldn't watch it. So that's why I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched Bel-Air this week yet. There's a show I didn't have a chance to watch it yet. There's a show that I did watch twice that I wanted to talk about and that we're going to get into in a little bit. And we were at the movies last night and saw an early screening of The Batman, which we can't tell you anything about The Batman other than to say we saw The Batman. And all I can tell Charles is that I've got to have another opportunity. I'm going to do something that normally I wouldn't do, Charles. I'm gonna put my health on the line. I need to get back in to see The Batman again. That's all I can tell you. I want to see that. I looked at the trailer this morning. I was like, now, as I shared with you last night, this is my favorite character in all the superhero land, despite the fact that people always say that Batman's really not a superhero because he's just a rich dude who just has toys. But I'm not saying anything about the movie other than to say that Batman's my favorite. We saw The Batman last night, and the executives at the studio have sternly warned us that we can't say anything about this movie. Is that about right, Charles?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who you've seen or what you've seen. I'm not attesting to anything.
You sat next to me at the movie last night. What are you talking about? You bought candy for colleagues last night who watched the movie. We watched it together.
I went and celebrated a colleague's birthday yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about.
Why are you this afraid of the studio? They told you just couldn't say any reaction about the movie. You can say you saw the movie.
Like I said, all I did was drink some soda and watch some, eat some candy, and I watched something. I was with my friends. That's all.
Oh my God, man. All right. Okay. I'm glad you just watched something last night. I saw The Batman, right?
Oh,
and I'm sure you saw The Batman too, since I talked to you before the movie, after the so at home, you understand what Charles is doing, but they have really told us that we can't really tell you anything. And that happens a lot. They embargo information. So we had that. So you traveled this week. We had a movie this week. And we were.
I mean, you did just talk about that you weren't able to see Frederick Douglass because they hadn't sent you a copy of it yet. But
No.
you know, that's the same company that is that has the rights over the Batman. So I'm trying to stay in good graces with them, and you know.
See, I again, and I hate to say it this way, but it's so true. It's not that I have a I don't care or no F's given philosophy, but I've been there, bro. I've seen this. You know, as Nas once made a rap song a couple of years ago called 27 Summers. We going through our 30th summer right now. I'm good. I've seen a lot of stuff happen in 30 summers, man, in this game. So, but needless to say, man, we're gonna jump in the show today. Charles Kirkland Jr. always joins me. We have a lot of fun and laughs, but we try to exchange information. Coming up later on the show, I want to discuss the premiere of a series that I did get a chance to watch because I didn't have to ask for an advance copy. I.e., as a side note, stick a pin in that for a second. All you snobby critics who run around, and it was a couple of my colleagues last night, you know, and again, to their credit, they are actually TV reviewers for major publications, and I'm not going to put their business out there, but they see all the stuff in advance. You know, it was so funny. You heard the conversation last night, Charles. You know, all the shows that I'm watching right now, none of them are out. We're all watching advanced copies. I was like, word. So I get the fact, and I have been fortunate enough to have advanced copies of stuff, but now I don't need an advanced copy of stuff. You know why? And it's a really important reason, right? If I'm not reviewing it, which we usually would do here, having an advanced copy of something doesn't help me because if it's something that I really either like a lot or don't like a lot, I ain't got anybody to talk to because nobody's seen it. So it's like when we were at Sundance, right? The only people we could talk about Sundance movies with were people who were at Sundance because you would tell other people and they were like, where can I watch it? You can't. So that's why I'm tongue-in-cheek saying to all my wonderful colleagues, Charles Kirkland included, you know, I had an advanced copy, you know, I watched it. Yeah, don't need an advanced copy, man. I wanna be like the regular masses and just take in the information and have my first reaction be like, oh, snap, that was hot. And then we could talk about it together. But y'all want to be able to be the overlords of entertainment and critiquing, and we gonna get our stuff early, and you know we gonna have this information and try to dispense it to you. Now again, I'm being funny because I've been doing that my whole life over 30 summers, but right now I just don't have the interest, Charles, in trying to chase. Seriously, I don't really have the interest in trying to chase down all of these shows because there's a lot of content out there, just a lot. Like, so what would I be doing? Having a whole, and I have a queue full of content right now that people sent me, like, we need you to watch this and review this. And I'm like, just busy, Charles. So am I wrong? I mean, you know.
I mean, no, you're not wrong because we literally get, I don't know about you, but I get like 5 or 6 movies that people say, review this for us. Why don't you do that? I mean, on a basis. I would say at least 2 a day, 5 a week. You know, I get all these things that come in and like, hey, can you watch this movie? Watch this movie. Watch this. And so, yeah, there's a lot of that insider content. But when you're writing for a site, yeah, you want to review some of that stuff and get it up early instead of going the day of to a movie theater. I wonder why we didn't post a review of Uncharted or some other things because they did day of thing. I mean, and who wants to watch a movie and turn around and review the same day? That's just tedious. It's tedious.
Speaking of that, I mean, I realize you haven't been to a movie theater in a minute and you haven't seen any movies and you didn't see any movies last night. Is there going to be a review coming early part of next week for some movie that everybody else saw other than you last night? That we can get it up to the public, that they can read. this review from this person who didn't see the movie, but is willing to offer his opinion?
For the record, I don't know what movie you're referring to, but I'm sure whatever movie comes out next week, we'll have a review on the site.
What's this? I understand the phrase method acting. I've never heard of method critique. This feels like, you just try not to break character at all. You're just gonna be the whole show. You're gonna be in character. You remind me of a good friend of mine, Wilson Morales, who does this show. You guys who stay in character, which is really funny because when you talk to people when the camera's not on, I'm not saying that they different people, but they're not in method character. Method critiquing. You heard it here first. So, all right. So we may or may not have a review of said movie. So let's get started this week.
Are you talking about Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris? That comes out next week.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. See, that one I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I was gonna start off with the show that was on NBC that I saw the trailer and I was like, I'm gonna give this show a shot. And that happens a lot. Like sometimes I'll peek in, a show can hold my interest, I'll stay with it. If I've gone through some shows and I've just tapped out, I'm like, one of them I tapped out on before I talk about the Endgame is a show that was on HBO, Gentleman Jack. Did you ever hear that show?
Yes.
Story about a woman who apparently was, in the 19th century. Yeah, the 19th century, or was it the 18th century? I'm not sure. Was it 1800s or 1700s?
I believe it was the 1800s.
1800s. So it's a 19th century story about a woman in England who, because of her father's failing health, she takes over as kind of the head of the family, running the house. And of course, this is like so uncommon during that time. And of course, she's a lesbian. And at the time when they didn't use the L word. So, a queer woman being in charge of an estate. And of course, there are men who try to take advantage of it. But I thought it was a really good show. When I say I tapped out, I think I tapped out maybe at the end. Tapped out may be the wrong phrase. I got to the end of the 2-year run, and I don't think they renewed it, but I watched it up almost until it ended. But I thought it was a good show. So, I'm constantly looking for content. Southside is another one I was telling you about last night. That's on HBO Max right now, which is kind of the same sort of tone of Atlanta from Donald Glover's show, but this one is done in Chicago, so they call it Southside. Very, very funny. So I can see, you can see Charles's face because Charles is not doing any of this NBC content. So, it's this HBO Max content. But this series that just dropped.
Keep going with that point. I'll be right back.
You usually turn your camera off when you are about to leave, but I don't know what happened. There was a delivery of something that I received in the mail, and I think Charles is chomping at the bit for said same delivery. So we'll see whether or not he comes back with a box telling me that what I received in the mail before we went on the air, he has now received as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit. Yep, he got it. He got it. So essentially, I have mine sitting here. So basically, I have it turned off. Charles just got his in the mail, and we were sent these karaoke microphones today. Now, as you can honestly see, I had this sweatshirt on before this came in the mail. So I did not put this sweatshirt on. So yes. So basically what Charles has received, and he's holding it up, is a wireless microphone that's promoting the movie that is on my breastplate. I'm sorry, wrong side. Breastplate here, Tick, Tick, Boom. And Tick, Tick, Boom is a film that I liked a lot. It's always funny to me, Charles, when we do this, that the movies that they choose to promote in these ways, right? That they choose to send out swag and things like that for critics. It's just interesting.
Knowing that we are members of the Black Reel Awards, and that The Harder They Fall from the same studio is like one of their big films. You would think that they would be promoting that to us. I'm not saying I don't want Tick Tick Boom, but
well, it's interesting. I had a conversation with the director of The Harder They Fall, James Samuel, about a week ago, and told him that I was very much, Charles, looking forward, because we get these coffee table books every year from a lot of the films that Netflix and other studios release, right? And I'm looking on my library right now, and I have a huge coffee table book for The Power of the Dog. I have another beautiful one for Hand of God, Passing. They sent in one for that. They also sent in the screenplays for The Hand of God, Bound Screenplay. I'm looking around. You see my eyes because I'm actually looking for them. They sent in Passing, and a bound book of the screenplay of Passing, and The Harder They Fall, but they did not make a special Harder They Fall book, which is what I really wanted to see. And Samuel told us that one is on the way, which I'm waiting, because I really was looking forward to diving into the history of these real people who are characters in the movie, much in the way that Jabari Banks is the star of the new series Bel-Air, but his character is Will Smith, which is freaking odd to me. But
that's who he was. That's what Bel-Air was. He was Will Smith.
No, but I'm saying in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith played Will Smith, right?
Right.
Now in Bel-Air, which is based on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they have it would be like Charles Kirkland II or third playing Will Smith instead of being just Charles in it. But it's odd to me. But it's another story. So I digress. So having said all of that, I'm glad that you got your wireless mic. Maybe we can show up at a karaoke together and just belt out some tunes. Nobody's going to pay to see that, but we can do it now because we both have our wireless mics.
I'm not turning mine on.
I'm not turning mine on either, man. So having said that, man, I was waiting for you to come back so we could jump into this show that I started. I was experimenting with this week, Endgame. And Endgame tells the story of a supervillain who is codenamed Snow White, right? And when I call her a supervillain, she is like a woman who is an international, what is this? She's kind of an international arms dealer and criminal mastermind. The character's name is Elena Fedorova, played by Morena Baccarin, right? And she is kidnapped and brought to a special kind of an area. And the head of the CIA, the head of Homeland Security, and of the FBI are all there, thinking that they have her boxed in and that they want some information from her. And suddenly, inexplicably, as a friend of mine would say, everything goes horribly wrong. 7 banks are taken down in succession, and only one person can figure out what's going on. And that person is an agent named Val Turner, played by Ryan Michelle Bath, the wife of Sterling K. Brown in real life, right?
Right.
And she is smart enough to understand, like, these two are playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. And they finally get to meet, and you can see that despite the fact that Elena Fedorova is this huge threat to the government, she has met the one person who really understands her, sort of like Blacklist, right? So this is really, the pilot, I thought they did a really good job with it, to the point where I had to watch it again, because that almost never happens, Charles, because we're busy people. So I don't have time to watch content, over and over within the same week, but I thought that pilot was fire. So I am looking very much to adding this show to the rotation of shows that I'm taking on. And now with shows like Queens, Our Kind of People, I think the Wonder Years may be on a hiatus, or if it's still coming on. I'm watching Blackish, Grownish, Abbott Elementary. I mean, I can tell you the shows that I'm watching. And if there's shows that are outside of those rotations, it gets pretty tough. Oh, Grand Crew. Am I leaving anybody out? Yeah, for the most part, I started on Euphoria, watched the first episode in season 2, which I thought was great. And I just haven't gotten back to it because Euphoria, have you ever watched it, Charles?
I watched one episode. My daughter is a big fan, of course.
It's so dark, man. It's so dark, man. It's like I need sunlight when I'm watching Euphoria, but Zendaya is really good in it, and I understand why it's an acclaimed show. But as I said,
I noticed you forgot to mention Abbott Elementary. I know you.
I said Abbott Elementary. I'm watching Abbott Elementary.
You didn't say it.
Okay, I could have swore I said it, but if you thought I missed it, I am watching Abbott Elementary. You know, it is a delight to watch that show because you have I think her name is Quentin Brunson. Quentin Brunson is really, really entertaining in that show. I apologize. I'm sorry I had to fall out of my power cord disconnected. Yeah, we don't want that.
I mean, we watched Brunson on the Black Lady Sketch Show, and she graduated from there onto her own show. And I believe one of the other ladies that's been on Black Lady Sketches on the show too. I can't remember her name, but it's a hilarious show. And like I said, when Bratz come around, when the Bolts TV come around, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's
a lot of stuff. And then the other thing
I didn't watch Endgame simply because I was out of the country at the time. And you know, I ain't had time to be watching no TV while I'm chilling out on the beach. But it is, from everything I've seen, it reminds me of the Blacklist, and I plan to check it out. Simply because I love Morena Baccarin from Deadpool, and now Michelle Bath she was on Boston Legal, and like you said, she's married to Sterling K. Brown. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I haven't had a chance to yet because I'm just still decompressing from the island life.
You know, I just want to put it out there that, you know, this was also an interesting week as an aside, and we'll get back to the entertainment in a second. I had 4 people close to me all leave and go on travel at the same time this week, right? And I was sitting around for several days with literally nobody to talk to because I couldn't call Charles, I couldn't call this person, I couldn't call that person. I was like, okay, it's okay. I've got a trip planned, and you probably gonna be shotgun that weekend. You're gonna be solo, as they say on the streets, because when I get my island life on, it's gonna be for a minute. I'm gonna be, but that's coming up a little later on in the year.
I hate to tell you this, Tim. I really do, but I'm gonna break this news right here on the big screen, on the big show. We were all together, all 4 of us. We went together just to abandon you.
Okay, I'm listening.
So we're all vacationing together. Not.
Also,
we all went together.
That would have been funny. That would have been funny in a very real way. But no, man. I mean, I think you know, we did a show a couple of weeks ago or several weeks ago. We talked about the effects of the pandemic and how it has altered our lifestyles and travel lives and things of that nature. And I'm glad to see everybody getting back out there. I'm gonna be on the beach soon, Charles, real soon. So and when I'm on that beach, I'm gonna call you and put you on what do you call it? Put you on what they call FaceTime video. Yeah, I'm gonna hit you and be like, "What's up, man? How's it going? Here's a picture of my feet. See where we standing at?"
So you James Brown with the big payback, huh? Is that what you're doing?
Once I stayed back. It was so funny this weekend. You know, as we're preparing to do the show, one of the members of our team called me up, and I was taking meetings all weekend, and we were still strategizing, looking ahead to what the rest of 2022 looks like. And I was screamed at, like, you're supposed to be taking a break. You're supposed to be relaxing. This is not the time to relax. I got the foot on the pedal. We are in the middle of award season. We got to keep pushing. So there you go, Charles. Uh-oh, something just happened over there. What's wrong? You good?
Okay, I just got a text about a friend passing. That's not good news. But I'm going to stay in the show. I'm going to stay in the show. Let's go.
My condolences. I don't know how close you were, but this is what we call real time in the podcast, bro. Stuff happens, man. Wow, you good?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm just checking, man. All right, so the other big thing I'm going to say, now we're halfway into the show, is that despite the fact that I was in a movie theater last night, and it was the first time I'd been in one in 2 months.
What?
I hadn't been. The last time I went to a movie screening, I'm not going to tell you the name of the movie, but we had a press screening for a film probably a week or two before Christmas, and somebody in the theater had COVID. And I got the call, and basically it was like, I'm out of the theater situation. The movies are going to be stanky in the first quarter of the year. I'm good at home. So that's why you've been watching this show or watching this podcast or listening to this show or listening to this podcast, that there have not been a lot of movie reviews, because first of all, there ain't a lot of really good movies to review. Do you really want to hear from us on Marry Me, Uncharted? Like, really? Do you really need us for that? I mean, I'm serious, Charles. You need me for that. I think there's some movies you need to hear my voice on. You don't need to hear my voice on the 8th time that Jennifer Lopez has done a romantic role, and people kept coming back to me talking about, oh yeah, man, this was better than the other ones. Word. Look, Made in Manhattan. What was the other one she did? Because there's 2 Jennifer Lopez movies. There's the ones when she plays an aggressive woman who's taking charge of her life, like Enough. And then you get, yeah, I mean, come on, man. I've been watching Jennifer Lopez on screen for a long time. And when I say a long time, I'm not talking about the stuff she made in the 90s. I'm talking about when she settled in and became a leading lady and had the pick of roles. She just kept playing a lot of these romantic comedies. Watch this. I don't want to speak out of turn. So I just want to make sure that I clarify this, because I know people at home are like, Tim is tripping. No, Tim is not. Tim is telling you what he knows because he's watched Jennifer Lopez play in a lot of movies.
I mean, come on. I mean, if you want to do Jennifer Lopez, Shall We Dance, Jersey Girl, Monster-in-Law, all the things, those romantic comedies that she did.
Wedding Planner, Made in Manhattan, Monster-in-Law, like you said, Shall We Dance. She did a series that I thought wasn't bad, Shades of Blue, but it didn't last. They canceled it. Filmography on Jennifer Lopez. Let's see. Recent. I haven't seen that. These 2 haven't come out. Hustlers. I thought she should have got an Oscar nomination for that. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But Marry Me, second act. What is this one? The Backup Plan. Made in Manhattan.
I forgot about The Backup Plan.
Wedding Planner. Out of Sight is good, right? So when we talk about Jennifer Lopez, U-Turn, I thought she was good in. Out of Sight, I thought she was good in. I actually love the look of The Cell. The Cell was a beautiful movie to look at, right? Angel Eyes, I thought, was a really thoughtful kind of exploration. She plays a police officer who meets this guy that could be sort of the divine. Right. So Jennifer Lopez has done some movies. I wouldn't say all of them are bad, but when I look at this string of movies, Geely was terrible. that movie
historically terrible.
Oh my God. That movie not just destroyed her relationship with Ben Affleck, but it literally almost destroyed Ben Affleck's career. And he had to take some time before he had to come back. That and Glitter are the 2 movies that I most associate in the early 2000s that are like, I'm sure, Charles, when they looked at the screenplays and the director sold them the vision of the film, I don't know if they got a big check and just ignored the flaws. If it looked better on paper, and then when they went to put the movie together, it didn't come together. Something historically bad didn't work. And there's a, you hear that song, it's a thin line between love and hate. It's a real thin line between something really, really good or something really, really bad.
And just for the record, you are saying Glitter was a bad movie. It didn't, not that Jennifer Lopez was in it, but it was.
Oh no, Glitter was Mariah Carey, but I bring Glitter up because when you talk about Geely and Glitter, those two are like these flaming piles of excrement that are
stank a dank. Stank a dank.
Ooh-wee. Wow. So, Geely, Maid of Manhattan, Monster-in-Law, her and Jane Fonda. An Unfinished Life wasn't bad. El Cante, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. El Cantante, with her back when she was married to Mark Anthony. I didn't think that was bad. Here's the thing with Jennifer Lopez. I think Jennifer Lopez has real acting ability. Like if you put her in the right screenplay, Hustlers showed you that a couple of years ago that she could really deliver a strong performance. But I think part of what the problem with Jennifer Lopez is that a lot of times she doesn't pick the material to match her talent. So for an example, Denzel Washington has been making movies since I want to say Carbon Copy was 80 or 81, right? So for 40 years, Denzel Washington has made movies. And I can tell you maybe on one hand, maybe a couple of fingers on the second hand of how many bad performances or bad movies I think Denzel Washington has made. So we've talked about my disdain for Ricochet, my disdain for, I'm trying to think, there's a couple, like what's the one he did with Robert Townsend when he was, God, what is the name of that movie? Let me look it up. I'm a firm believer in looking it up because we're not making it up on the slide. Oh God, The Mighty Quinn. Mighty Quinn, I thought had some charm to it. Ain't the best Denzel Washington performance,
but it's not bad either. So,
Fallen,
Fallen.
Look, Charles. Virtuosity.
Come on, man. Virtuosity.
If you got Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington in the same movie and that thing doesn't pop, that's not about them. That's about y'all. Y'all got to give them a better screenplay. And then, guess what?
Wait.
American Gangster.
This was early Crowe. Crowe hadn't been acting that long.
Wait, stop. Excuse me. Early Denzel Washington had an Oscar when he made Virtuosity.
Are you comparing Crowe to Washington?
Okay. Russell Crowe won an Oscar. My point is that we're not talking about two dudes that can't act, right? When he made Virtuosity, okay, hold on a second. See, you're trying to, but this is a good conversation. I don't take it as a challenge. I think this is a good talking point, right? Because I believe that if you're good, right? But I know that there are films where you have historically great actors can be in bad movies. Marlon Brando has been in a bunch of bad movies. Laurence Olivier has been in a bunch of bad movies. Al Pacino has made bad movies. Tom Hanks made The Bonfires of the Vanities. Hello? You can be a great actor and be in the wrong project. Virtuosity was the wrong, let me rephrase that. Wrong prospect or wrong project may be incorrect, right? There are reasons that we discuss here ad nauseum on sometimes that films just don't work, right? So you got to remember, I'm looking at Denzel Washington. This is 1990s Denzel Washington, right? I'm talking about on the verge, like he had won an Oscar. He's on the verge of like being like stepping up as like one of the best of his generation. But this is the area that this is the 90s when he's building, right? So in the 90s, Denzel Washington did Mo Better Blues, decent film. You had Wesley Snipes and Denzel Washington. It should have been better in my explanation. He made Mississippi Masala, which I thought was solid. He did Malcolm X, of course, that he should have won the Oscar for and didn't. In 93, he did Philadelphia, The Pelican Brief, also in 93. So those are two really good movies in 93. Crimson Tide in 95. Now, you notice that I'm looking through Denzel Washington's filmography. They don't even mention Virtuosity. They skipped that one. Pelican Brief, Crimson Tide, Much Ado About
Virtuosity is
Nothing.
not till 95. So, I mean, you're getting there.
Wait. No. Listen. Pelican Brief in 93, Crimson Tide in 95. I'm reading the bio of it, not his filmography. Much Ado About Nothing in 96, Courage Under Fire also in 96. They skipped Virtuosity. They even know in Denzel's bio, shh, what are you talking about? Denzel was in Virtuosity. Look, Charles, what you talking about? Ricochet is not mentioned. They came out in 93. Where is Ricochet and Virtuosity? Okay, let me answer that question. It's not there because those movies are terrible Denzel Washington movies. That's why they're not there.
Well, for the record, you don't know anything about Russell Crowe really until L.A. Confidential, which was in 97.
Okay, so hold on a second. We want to play the same game with Russell Crowe? Okay, let's play this game then. Because again, this is in my wheelhouse.
I believe he did The Quick and the Dead in 95.
So wait a minute. Russell Crowe did Prisoners in the Sun in 1990. He started 10 years after Denzel. Look, so he made his debut in 1990. He did Prisoners in the Sun, The Crossing. He had Proof, Spotswood, Romper Stomper. Now, Romper Stomper in 92 is probably the first time that people started talking about, oh, this guy's got a little talent. Romper Stomper, really good movie. Hammers on Anvil. So he didn't really do anything. And to your point, Russell Crowe starts bubbling in The Quick and the Dead. All right, so that's when he got to America, started making films here. No Way Back, and then in 1995, Virtuosity.
Same year as The Quick and the Dead, right?
Right. So watch this. Virtuosity was a sci-fi film directed by Brett Leonard that starred Oscar winner Denzel Washington and future Oscar winner Russell Crowe. $30 million movie that made $37 million. The story of, they were testing the virtual, and maybe I would say now, because they're talking about virtual reality. This is a VR movie in 1995. I just bought an Oculus, which is in my hand in 2022. VR is just starting to really catch on. So it could be a case, instead of me saying it's a really bad performance or a really bad movie, it's a movie just ahead of its time. And the public may not have been ready for what they were trying to show. So I'm willing, as a critic and as a man sometimes, to basically say, hey man, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not the Bible. I'm just the guy that knows a lot and I watch a lot in the moment, but the moment continues to evolve. And sometimes you have to come back and go, you know what, man, maybe I got it wrong. I'm not saying maybe I got it wrong about the movie, because the movie was terrible. The movie's not good, but I'm saying that the reasoning behind why I and the rest of the general public may not have embraced this movie, this concept, was essentially because maybe it was ahead of its time. Now, Charles, remember in 1997 when Strange Days came out with Angela Bassett and who was the other guy? Was it Ray Fiennes? Strange Days?
Yeah.
Let me look it up. Oh, I love this, man. You doing one of my favorite things to do right now, which is, Strange Days was 1997, directed by Catherine Bigelow, with Ray Fiennes and Angela Bassett. So another sci-fi movie, which I thought was ahead of its time, but I loved Angela Bassett at that time, and I was like, I'm willing to go on this ride with them, and I thought that one was not as bad. But Charles, you get my point that I'm making about when you look at people's filmography and you look at work and having to examine stuff. Sometimes there's a reason why certain movies work versus when those movies don't work, and we always try to explore when we watch movies that really don't work. There's a movie coming out next week that is under embargo that we can't talk about, that I think really works. I think that there are a lot of elements in this story that are very. I didn't say what movie I'm talking about. I can talk about an anonymous film that I thought that really worked. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I shouldn't have said it comes out next week. Maybe I should have said some movie that's coming, and then that way it's really broad. But my point is that there are movies and stories that really work versus stories that really don't.
I think for the most part, we get back to J-Lo. I think J-Lo is an actress, a singer who's an actress, or an actress singer. I mean, I don't think she really takes acting as seriously as some other people like a Denzel Washington does. I mean, she just goes out there to have fun and be out there and do projects that she enjoys. And so, I mean, when you see her filmography, like you talk about, it's all over the place. She's got great movies. She's got terrible movies. She has
like Lila and Eve.
Yeah, Anaconda. She's done some
Anaconda.
things.
Anaconda is there's a such thing. No, there's a such thing as a fun bad movie. Come on, man. You've never heard the phrase a fun bad movie?
Yeah.
There are movies sometimes that are bad movies, but they're so much fun to watch that you revel in how bad the movie is, right? And it can be a fun experience for people.
And that's my point. Then
there are movies that are just fun. Bad, that there's no fun in them, and you like, wow.
But I don't think she's done too many movies where she's just been terrible to watch. I mean, all her movies are just fun, popcorny type stuff to watch until you get to things like Hustlers and Selena.
Let me ask you a question. When is the last time you watched a movie that literally was so bad that it made you mad?
That it made me mad.
Like I'm trying to remember. I watched a movie recently that we talked last week on the show that I watched a movie that made me tremendously sad when we talked about the documentary about Bill Cosby. Right. But I have watched movies where I've had a visceral, I can tell you, I know exactly. I can tell you exactly the movie that I'm talking about. There's a movie we saw at Sundance called 892. That movie, I wanted to fight after I watched that movie because I was like, why do we have to keep getting this narrative over and over? Why in these movies must the guy always die? Why? Remember that?
But it was a true story, so they couldn't have it a happy ending at the end of a true story. They got to tell the true story. Now, Why did they have to tell the story? I don't know. I can't answer.
And you anticipated where I was going with this. I get the fact that it's a true story, right? Why? What is the impetus of a group of people who are producing the film to go, you know what, this happened, man, we need to make this movie. And I'm like, nah, bro, you don't have to make this movie. You know, we've seen that movie too many times. We've seen that story too many times. Matter of fact, I don't even need to go to the movie theater to see that story. I can just turn on the news and see that story. So what's the difference between watching the news and watching you give me a movie that has the exact same outcome on both realms? That's my point. So maybe I
had that same feeling when we went to see Detroit.
Oh my God,
Detroit, man! And we came out of that theater, and some people were like, "Woo, this movie is great!" I'm like, why do we have to tell these stories? I mean, I understand that it happened, and we got to. But do we really have? I mean, trudge through this all the time.
Are you talking about that? It's so funny you bring that up, man, because before you said that, I had literally washed that memory out of my mind. So as soon as you said it, it was like a trigger. And I was like, oh, snap. Like I felt like it all came rushing back. Detroit. I remember you were at the screening. We saw it together, right?
Yeah.
I remember, and I'm so glad you brought this up because we need to talk about this. I remember being at the screening for that movie. They showed it at the Mazda Galleria, which is out of the game. I remember sitting up there watching it, and it got so uncomfortable in the mid to second to third act. And I mean, it was silent in the theater. And when these guys were getting tortured, and I was sitting there going, this is horrible. Who thought that this is a story? Like what is to be gained by anybody in this theater watching this movie or any audience? It's almost like, I give you another analogy, right? This is a movie that won an Oscar, won a Black Reel Award. And I remember watching it, and it was like, I think I watched it one time, and then I went back in the next night when they screened it to literally watch the audience reaction to the horror that I had saw the night before, because I wanted to see how other people would take it in, was 12 Years a Slave. 12 Years a Slave was one of the hardest movies I've ever had to watch. I compared it, like, I hate roller coasters. To me, it felt like, I was strapped in on a roller coaster and could not get out until the movie was over. And I remember there was so many times watching that movie when I was like this. Oh my God. Oh.
I remember that because when I went to see it, it was the second time for you. And you said, nah, bro, I'm going to stand outside for a few minutes and I'll come in a little bit. I was like, word? Yeah, I've already seen this one, and nah. I was like, man. And then I'm sitting there and I'm watching all the events unfold. I mean, it's a beautifully well-told story. The acting, we got Lupita Nyong'o out of it. But it was torturous. I mean, man, it just made you revulse inside because it was just so ugly at times on the screen. And I understood why you had to stay out for a while. And the only reason why you really went there was to see how we were going to react and to gauge whether we felt the same way that you felt coming out of it. And honestly, there were a lot of people who came out of that movie. They were like, oh, this is a great movie. Just like with Detroit. Oh, this is a great movie. It was a great movie, but it was hard and it just made you angry. It just made you, every time you turn around, you're like, white people.
Bro,
I mean, I don't really want to come out of a film feeling that way. So,
I was incensed when I came out, and they, we always have the advertising agency usually comes up and they want to get a quote. And I said, man, this ain't the movie for that. And I'm saying it nicer now than I did then. I was like, man, don't ask me nothing, because that. But again, this is a part of I think one of the untold things that we always try to share during these experiences and during these shows is that Charles and I are both Black men, right? You can call it, we're people of color. You can say all of these wonderful adjectives. We're Black men. And as a Black person watching movies, sometimes it's very difficult, man. And I remember, one of the things that I wanted to talk about on this show today, which we're not going to have a chance, is one of my favorite films of all time, at least in the top 2, is The Godfather, right? And Godfather is going to be re-released. It's celebrating the 50th anniversary. Next month is the 50th anniversary, but it's limited in theaters this weekend. So I'm going to go out and do something, as I told Charles earlier, that I've never done before. I've never seen The Godfather on the big screen. So I am going to take a shot, right? But I remember watching The Godfather.
You've never seen The Godfather? You've never seen
The Godfather? On the big screen.
You've never seen The Godfather? That's how you did.
You'd have to watch the show. I've watched our show. Charles is the person who's never watched it from start to finish. He's seen one half and the other half, but he's never seen them together. I own different variations of The Godfather, so I've absolutely seen it a bunch of times, but I've never seen it in a theater, because by the time it was in a theater, I was like 7, 8 years old. Uh-oh, I thought another package was coming. I saw a FedEx truck pulling up. It's like, uh-oh, more goodies. But my point is that there's a scene in The Godfather when all of the 5 families are sitting around a table, and one of the characters says, we pay our people extra so that they don't deal in narcotics. And the guy says, we leave that to the what did he say? To the dark people. they're already animals. Let them lose their souls. And I was sitting there like, yo, I'm sitting right here. Like, what is all that about? So, that along with, watching, these classic movies on TCM. I remember one time I told somebody I was watching it was Showboat, the 1936 one with Paul Robeson. And I remember at the end, after he sung Old Man River, which, I guess was supposed to be a big song in the movie, just depressed me, lift that barge, tote that bale. Oh, hold on a second. I'm doing that wrong, Charles.
Drunk and you're in jail.
Hold on a second. Look, Charles, hold that barge, lift that bale. I have it turned off, by the way. Charles has his in his hand. Look. But I'm saying I got so mad because at the end, all of the good black folks, which and actually they weren't black then, all of the colors get around as Missy is teaching them how to dance at the end of Showboat. And I said, had it not been my own TV, I'd have probably thrown a boot through it, as mad as I was. But, this is, we laugh about it, but this is real talk, man. All these stories, like I've shared with Charles, When They See Us by Ava DuVernay, who's somebody I've known for a while and loved dearly. Couldn't watch that movie, man. Couldn't get through it. Underground Railroad by Barry Jenkins. Tried to get through the first episode. When I saw that dude getting burnt while they were having a cookout or they were having a friendly living, what do you call it? A social. I was like, nah, man, I can't watch that because there's certain stuff that I can't take into my spirit because once I see it, I can't unsee it. Hence Detroit, hence Virtuosity, hence it's just like, I hate to add Virtuosity.
Wait, I was gonna say, come on, man. Don't put Virtuosity in the same category as Detroit.
Ricochet. Hence Ricochet is not a good movie. It's not a good movie.
But it's not that visceral anger that you're going to get from Detroit or 12 Years a Slave.
Sir,
come on.
Denzel Washington and Wesley Snipes starred in Mo Better Blues together, right? And I still say that Denzel needed to have had a harder edge in the first act to make his contrition and comeuppance in the second act make more sense. And it doesn't really come together. And I thought that it was, I'm not going to use the phrase it was sloppy writing because he literally gave you the ending that was at the beginning, which I guess was supposed to tell us that life goes on. But, no, not good movies at all. So, Charles, we got about a minute and a half to go. I dominated and did all the talking, which I apologize. Is there something that you wanted to recommend before we got out of here?
As a matter of fact, there is something that I think everyone needs to watch this weekend. Well, actually, it's on Monday night, and that would be the Black Reel Awards, which will be streaming on the blackreelawards.com. And if you have virtual reality, you can go to the Harlem Film House and watch it in the metaverse, streaming there. So check out. The show starts at 8. We have a pre-show that starts at 7. So join us for the Black Reel Awards this Monday at 7 and 8.
Wow. I didn't even put him up to that. That was great. That was great. All right. So on behalf of Charles Kirkland, Black Reel Awards on Monday, man. We have plenty to talk about. We should probably do a show on Tuesday to talk about the experience of putting the Black Reel Awards because there's some great stories. Charles, great stories. But as we tell you guys, please see something good at the movies. We'll see you guys on the other side. 492 is a wrap. We'll see you guys next week, man. You guys enjoy.